We are going to talk about curriculum today. So I know homeschool curriculum can be a bit overwhelming, and researching different programs can often lead you down like different rabbit trail after rabbit trail, and before you know it, you have looked at every single history program there is, every single geography program there is, and you just are more confused than when you started. So hi, my name is Angie. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I'm a mom to 4. I love to homeschool and I love to read good books, and I love to share both of those things on this channel. So thank you for stopping by. And if you also love those things, please consider subscribing. I've been homeschooling for, I think it's been 3 years. Yeah, I started when my son was 4. So 3 years, going on 4 next fall. And in this video, I want to share a bit more about how I've become more confident in starting the process for selecting curriculum. And so this video is the 3rd in a series I've been running on this channel to talk a little bit more about preparing yourself for the upcoming homeschool year. The first video, I chatted a bit about kind of preparing yourself and planning, yearly planning, things like that. The video just before this one, I chatted a lot about budgeting, how I budget, how I think about the budget, how I actually budget. I showed you my Excel spreadsheet, and that was also the collab video. So please go check those out if you are interested. But like I said, today's video is curriculum, which I don't know a single homeschool mama or parent that does not love homeschool curriculum. But when it comes to curriculum selection, I have 2 tips kind of jump into my head. The first is live in reality. And the second is no curriculum is perfect. And I probably struggle more with the first one, which is just to live in reality. And like I've shared in a number of videos before, I tend to live a little bit in this ideal homeschool world where I'll just read stuff and be inspired and encouraged, and I just want to implement that in my homeschool, whether it's like nature or child-led learning or there's just so many examples. But my problem is I can easily be discouraged when that doesn't work because I didn't live in reality. I didn't live in my reality with my kids in our current situation. And I think that's important. I have landed on some of the best curriculum when I've been more realistic with myself. And like I said, the other tip that always comes to mind is that no curriculum is perfect. As I have been homeschooling for a while, I have definitely relaxed my expectations of curriculum. I think at first you just want it to be everything it promises, and it rarely is. And I think what's important is to be able to see it as a tool. And I can't remember who says this, but a lot of people give this advice that you use the curriculum, you don't let the curriculum use you. In other words, you are guided by it. So say you don't like a certain read aloud in a literature-based program, you sub it out. It's not that big of a deal. I think at first I tended more to wanting to do it exactly how it was written, and I have learned that that's just not necessary, and I actually am much happier when I don't do that. And to piggyback off that a bit, I guess a 3rd tip that just popped into my mind is that it's also important to be honest with yourself. If a curriculum isn't working, it's okay to switch it out. I mean, you probably shouldn't switch out every 2 weeks or something like that, but don't stick with something just because you bought it or just because everybody else is loving it or whatever it is. So with those 3 things in mind, I'm going to kind of take you stepwise through how I select my curriculum for the upcoming year. So literally the first thing I do is assess the curriculum we are already using. So usually people tend to plan for the next year in the springtime, so kind of now-ish. And so I'm currently using a bunch of curriculum. So the first thing I like to do is think about, well, what's working? And if it's working and if it meshes well with my style as well as my kids, then I keep it. I don't even think about it. I'll be like, okay, math is good. I put that in the pile I've already decided, don't need to think about, don't need to make that decision. And I think that helps out a ton because sometimes it's really easy to get in the like, oh, that's shiny, or I saw a certain review and that looked good. Maybe my kids would like that. But in all reality, they're doing great with the current math program they have. So I tend to look at that first. The second thing I like to do is I like to look at different reference books, and I forgot to grab them off my shelves, but I will put up a picture of the 2 main books that I use in this step. And in this step, I'm trying to familiarize myself kind of with the standards. And so even though I homeschool, I still like to have an idea of like, what are the general expectations of 2nd graders? What are the general expectations of 1st graders? What do they cover? Different things like that. And I always have to pep talk myself beforehand. I always think it's wise to tell myself not to compare, to not then put all of this information on my shoulders. I use this step more to kind of expose myself to those ideas as well as spark any interest. Well, maybe we will do a unit on that. We haven't even touched on that in our homeschool yet. That could be really fun. And I didn't realize that second graders typically learn that at this time. It's really good for things like math and reading, even though different kids take off at different times with those, especially reading. But like math is helpful to know about what kids are usually learning in second grade. Okay, and the next step is probably the biggest step. And this is where I start to make lists. I start to make lists of the different things that we need to fill in the gaps. So like I said, I have already moved over curriculum that is working for us, so I'm not going to look up stuff for that. But say I want to figure out what we're going to cover for history or science, and I start to make lists of each subject for each child. And I tend to write things down like, when do I need it? How much does it cost? Do I already have it? Because it's also good at this time to check your closet, because a lot of times you'll purchase something and then not get to it or not use it, or I have an extra logic book that we just didn't get to for first grade that we can use for second grade. Stuff like that, that I will often forget about the supplies I have picked up. And like I said in the last video, I start and stop curriculum wherever we're not a start in the fall and in the spring sort of curriculum family. And so I need to make note of that so I don't forget where we're at. The fourth thing, which kind of is rolled into the third in my opinion, is to check the budget. And like I detailed a lot in the last video, we tend to have a rolling fund. Again, I pick up curriculum kind of year round, but at this point I want to put all the necessities on the list. So even if I plan on purchasing something in March of next year, I want it on the list that I can include in my yearly budget number so that I know that it's already taken care of. I already have money set aside to pick up that math curriculum because I know our current curriculum won't last the whole way. Additionally, what I have found is when I am systematic like this, sometimes I'll have money left over, which is fantastic. And then I get to think about how I want to enrich our homeschool. So I'm thinking field trips, thinking subscription boxes, different things like that can really make our homeschool fun. And once I've assessed all of our must-haves, that leaves room for the fun, would be nice stuff. And then the fifth step, or the last step really, is to just go ahead and purchase a curriculum, especially if you know you have the money for it in the budget and you know that it's the plan for this child for the upcoming year. You can just go ahead and get it. And for me, it's nice to see the whole picture before I start purchasing things, because I sometimes can get ahead of myself with the purchasing. And then I realize, oh, maybe I didn't need to prioritize that right away. So really being organized helps me out a ton in kind of this realm of keeping my curriculum shopping to mostly necessities. So at this point, I would say curriculum research has become a hobby, and I am not sure what that says about me, but I don't think I'm alone. It's just really fun to see what's out there and to think about how that could work in my homeschool. And so if you are like me, please let me know that you are also a curriculum researcher. And I would also love to hear, how do you prepare and plan for curriculum for the upcoming year? Do you have any tips you want to share with me and anybody else who looks through the discussion? And so that's what I have to kind of wrap up the curriculum talk for the upcoming year. The last video in this series that is going up next will be detailing how I organize everything. What are my strategies? What do I think about when I place things in certain locations in our house, or how do I store things? It's not necessarily going to be a room tour because it's not quite set up yet, and I will do a full homeschool room tour soon when it's set up. But I often put a lot of thought into where I store different things in our homeschool and in our house in general. So I hope you're excited for that video and you will tune in next time. But otherwise, that is what I have for this video. I hope this series has been helpful. I hope this video has been helpful. If it has, please consider liking it, subscribing to the channel if you are not already subscribed, and I will see you next time for a little organization, homeschool, chatting. So have a wonderful day.